Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am MetalGearBox and welcome to Railroads Online. We start our day nice and early, steaming up Betsy here, our starter locomotive in this game. But what is this game? I can hear you not asking. Well, like I say, this is Railroads Online, and the purpose of this game, if we have a quick look at the map, is to transfer goods from one place to another place, to another place, to another place, and then finally to another place, before taking them back to the freight depot and making lots of sweet, sweet cheddar. Dinero, dollar, however you want to call it, we're going to make some money. So it's rather dark at the minute, so let's change that. There we go. And it's a bit murky weather as well, so we'll set it to partly cloudy. And the weather should slowly change over time to reflect that, which is pretty cool. It doesn't just jump straight away. Some very pretty clouds, although there is a bit of a... I don't know if you guys can see that very well. It might not come up through YouTube, but there's some weird skybox lines appearing and then disappearing just as quick. Distraction over. Let us go and take a peek at what I've done so far. So it's not a lot. I've just connected up these three tracks into one so that we can get Betsy out of there. But where are we going to take her? That is the question. So we're going to bring up our track construction. And this is the tools at our disposal to create the world's most beautiful railway. Now, we don't have a name for this railway. That is not the button I meant to press. So we don't have a name for this railway. I'm going to come up with one at some point. But our railroad, first of all, should focus on connecting to the logging camps so we can start making a little bit of money, because we've been graciously donated $2,000 by the American government to start our railroad, and thankfully, building the railroad is free. We get that subsidized, which is fantastic. However, engines and cars are not cheap. So what we're going to do is we're going to start. I've already cleared a little bit of area out here, just enough to get myself started. But I'm now going to go through and clear a lot more trees. And basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk from here up to the logging camp, probably via the sawmill, because it would make more sense to loop past there. We're not going to connect that up today. It's not a today job. Today we just want to get as far as the logging camp and get that done nicely. But what we'll do is we'll leave junctions in the track so that at some point in the future we can come along and reconnect to those to split off to the lumber camp. The sawmill. So that's our short-term goal right now, is to reach the logging camp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep chopping, and I will catch you guys when we're a bit closer to the logging camp. So welcome back. We've cleared quite a lot of trees. We've got a nice long. You can't really see it too well, but it goes all the way down there, back to the freight depot. And now we've reached the point where I think I want to fork the track, because if you can see in the behind the trees there's a little plume of smoke coming up. That is the sawmill. We're quite close. Now, I don't know if you can tell very well, but this map shows the contours of the land as well as just the where the mountains are. It shows the actual contours. So you can see around this area, we've just cleared a little hill here on the left-hand side. That would be this one. Or this one. No, this one over here. We want to try and stay as flat as we can. So what we want to do, I think, is start heading off around this way to the logging camp and split the road, or the track, sorry, so that it goes, some of it goes off this way, some of it goes off this way. So to be able to better visualize what I'm actually doing, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start laying the track up to this point so that I know where it's going to make the most sense to head next. Now, I made the mistake of not putting down a telegraph office when I left the yard at the freight depot, so I'm going to have to walk all the way back. But in the future, once I pop one down, I'll show you how they work. They let us teleport from anywhere on the map to one of the telegraph offices we've placed. I'm going to try not to overuse them in this series because I kind of want this to be relatively small scale. I'm not going to be doing massive long trains because it's just me running them, so it's kind of a pain to actually run big trains with just one person. More than about 6-7 cars gets annoying. 8 at a push for single player, really, I'd say. And that's the mistake I've made playing this game before, is I've tried to go too big and I've just got completely and utterly burnt out on the game. So I'm going to try and keep things small, so I'm not constantly doing fun things rather than running back and forth for 3 hours filling up an industry that I really don't need to fill up. So we're nearly back to the freight depot now, and I've noticed that I've missed a little bit of this is quite a narrow passage here, so I'm going to just clear this out of the way before I start laying track. Because I think the plan is to be able to eventually lay a second line of track so that I can pick a direction and just head in it. And I shouldn't have to worry too much about changing that many switches. Especially, like I say, when you're in single player, because it means stopping at every junction, jumping out, swapping the signal, swapping the switch and keeping moving again, which can be quite time consuming when you're carrying a heavy load or you've got a weak engine. So I'm just going to clear out a little bit of this as well so we can get into the freight depot platform. So now we've, what I'm going to do here is actually I'm going to grab Betsy real quick. I think I'm just going to re-rail her on this side of the yard. Anytime today. There we go, there she is. Oh, the bell wire's got a bit hacker. Always feels good. So, let's actually get this train moving. That's not annoying at all. Let's get this train moving. So we're going to set the reverser to forward. We're going to make sure we've got no brake. We're just going to open the reg just a little bit. We should still have... Yeah, still got a little bit of fuel, but we'll refill it. Keep it fully steamed up. And you should see now, we're on the move. So this switch was already set towards me, but if it wasn't, it would have automatically adjusted itself. Now, because we haven't laid that much track yet, we're just going to stop here for now. In fact, we'll stop at the end of the track. But it's nice and easy to get going and just let yourself coast, or just put the brake on whenever you need to. And what we're going to do, like I say, is we're going to go into facilities. So this is all of the extra things that you might need on your railway. So what we're going to do is we've already got a water tower by the where everything comes from. So I'm going to grab the telegraph office, and this is our first upgrade to our yard. It's going to really help us. We're going to just pop it right... Can we pop it on the platform? No, that would be good if we could. But unfortunately this is a no build zone. So I guess we'll just pop it... Yeah, we'll just pop it right here. Oh, but I don't like the way it's sat on those flowers and they're poking through the ground, so we're gonna do a little bit of beautification. So 1 second, we'll get this all sorted out. So this should do as a nice little base, and it's not really going to get in the way of our track too much because they'll have their own sort of raised track sections. Just to do this in a way that's not going to frustrate me. I think this is probably the best course of action, because otherwise that telegraph pole is just going to be sitting through things. Can't see any flowers poking through the floor, no. And that looks like it's nicely perched on the end of the platform, which kind of connects the whole thing together a bit. Beautiful. So, inside of the telegraph office. Oh, it's an automatic door. Very advanced for its age. We've got a little heater here, and a really annoying Morse beeper, which you can't turn off. Can't even beep yourself. So hopefully in a future update they add realistic beeping physics. But anyway, moving on. So we're going to grab some track and we're going to start heading down this section. And what I'm going to do is I've turned off circle mode, which for those of you who don't know is a tool that this game uses to help you build like nice consistent curves and stuff. But because we're building a line, I'm going to do it kind of freehand. I'm going to come out to about here, and at this point I'm going to put in a switch right, and I want to connect this on. So we're going to have to clear a bit more trees there, but that's fine. And all this is going to do is this is going to let us bring this track over here. I'll just make sure this doesn't look too janky. No, it's alright. We're however going to move this over just a little bit because it's skew-if. Is that still on the base? Yeah, absolutely miles of room now. There we go. Just didn't want it clipping the trains as they come past. And I'll just lay a nice flat piece of track here. So we should be able to keep this on circle mode. So we can also use this to create straight lines. Or if you know, the track isn't quite so straight, we can use it for that as well. We've got at least the platform covered, and for now that'll be enough. We'll actually finish the yard later on, but this will do for now. This is going to let us get our engines either into the yard, where they come from, or into the freight depot to sell our goods and stuff. And we're just going to start heading this way. So I think it might be time for a little montage. Shaky in places, but we've got our track laid out. We might have to relay little bits of it as we go, but we should be okay for the most part. So we're going to run back up the line to Betsy here, because she didn't make it very far, admittedly. I was making quite long track selections, so I figured rather than keep running back and running forth, I'd just leave at this end and come and get her afterwards. But we've got to the point where I want to fork off to the sawmill. So in fact what I'm going to do actually to make our lives a little bit easier, you can also press F by the way to enter these trains, and it brings up a much more intuitive driving UI. So we're going to take the brake off, slam the reverser backwards and absolutely pelt it. No, we're not. We're going to go to like, we really need a couple of percent reg. So while we're doing this, I'm going to quickly head into the locomotives tab, and we're going to buy so what makes me what I find enjoyable about this is actually in the real world. It's not just a cutscene area. So in a second we'll see Betsy slam into that car there, but this is another one of those, and we're going to buy I think another 3 of them. Now I am trying to purposely get these as a bit of a mishmash, because once I have named the railroad, each of these cars will be getting its own numbering system, and they'll all be uniform. But for now, I want to make it look like we just started off. We've got absolutely diddly squat to our name, so we've got a couple of mismatched cars we managed to find and obtain from other railways, and that's kind of the vibe I'm going for right now, which is why they're all a bit mismatched, and it's by design before anybody gets upset with me. So we're gonna back in here. So the couplings in this game, I should probably explain this real quick because the amount of people I've seen not understand these. So it's called link and pin, not link and pin like the president. Link and pin. So to start off with, you need a link, and then to finish off with, you need a pin. It's not incredibly complicated. I don't know why it's. I see a lot of people struggle with this to begin with. So all you need to make sure is you've got your link and your pin, and make sure that on the other end you don't have any links or any pins, and it will slide into this socket here. I'll just let Betsy make her own way back. You can see her waddling all over the track because she's such a tiny engine. And that's now connected. So if we were to go forwards and take off this brake, the car now comes with us. Hooray, we are now technically a train. But for now we're going to keep this in reverse, and we're going to add a link and pin to the back of this one, and we're going to do exactly the same thing to connect to this one. We're going to just wait for it to arrive. We're going to pop a pin in this one to connect it, and then we're going to pull forwards. I've got to take this brake off because we now need to move it into this siding to grab these. So what I'm going to do to save myself a little bit of time is put all the link and pins we need in now, and we'll take off this front brake. But look at that, how good does this game look? It sounds incredible as well. The puffs of smoke, oh beautiful. That's actually a fairly new addition, dynamic smoke, and I think it looks very pretty. Sounds very pretty. Overall, this game is very pretty. So we're going to pull out, and I'm going to connect these two up, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. So, because we set this all up, we should just be able to connect straight into that, and straight into that, and not go off the edge. Fantastic. So we now have an assembled train, and clarification on the terminology I'm going to use. So I'm obviously from the UK, and we declare a train to be an engine, which is Betsy here, connected to something that we're pulling, and that something we're pulling is our train. The whole entire thing is a consist, but that's not really a terminology that's commonly used in the UK, or at least not to my knowledge. Not in the relatively casual crowd that I like to consider myself a part of. So we're gonna take Betsy, and we'll just full reg it until we get up to some decent speed here. But you'll notice now that we're not just flying away immediately because we've got some weight behind us, so it takes a moment for the train to catch up with us. And while we do this, I am going to turn that noise down. There we go, that's a lot nicer. So because we've reached speed, I'm going to turn the regulator down. And that's going to mean we're going to get that annoying noise a lot less, and we should have a lot nicer chuffing noise. In fact, we could just turn it off for now, and it's all flat gradient, so we can coast. Pull the whistle if we decide. Oh, Betsy's got a new whistle. So Betsy never used to sound like this. Betsy, I believe, has a two-tone whistle by the looks of it. by the sounds of it as well. And you know, I think it sounds quite nice. But my god, this game is so pretty. Now I am aware I made quite a large lane here, and I'm hugging the trees pretty much the entire way down. Oh, I think we're going to overshoot here. Oh, maybe not, maybe not. We're flat spotting it a bit, which is terrible. Terrible to be doing. Just want to back up just a touch. There we go. Fantastic. So, to the left will be our sawmill. To the right will be our sawmill, and to the left will be our logging camp lines. So I'm now going to run the logging camp line, and I'll see you when we get there. But for starters, we're going to place down another telegraph office, just quick and dirty out here in the field, just so we can teleport back to Betsy when we need to. So we're getting pretty close to the logging camp now. If I look at the map, it says it should be just over here. So, because I can't actually see where the buildings I'm in for are, I'm going to head off into the forest, see if I can't figure out where it is I'm going, and link back up. So that's why I put a telegraph office where I did, because then at least I've got some sort of waypoint to shoot for, because you can't actually mark the map yet. Aha, and here we are. So we're really not that far away. Thinking about it, I probably want to come in from this side so that it makes sense, so that I can just go straight in. So we want to align this side and align this side so we can collect the cordwood, which is useful for refilling your fueling stations. So we're gonna probably start from this end now, and all I'm gonna do is I don't know why this platform's here. There's nothing that actually gets loaded there. I'm going to come all the way back here. I'm just going to spin around. I'm just going to line this up. I think that's about straight. Now if I set this back to 0% incline, because you don't really want an incline on a point where you're going to be stopping. And set this to be straight. There we go, this should pull right alongside the logs. And we're going to have this come out to about here. So what we're going to do for the cordwood, instead of trying to fit a junction in here and squeeze it in, what I'm going to do is actually create a yard on the other side and have it come up this way and be loaded so that all of the exports go through this log line. It's probably not how they would have done it on the real thing, but for the sake of me being able to play this on my own, it's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. And then I can always have some cordwood cars ready. And now we're just going to head out towards my last point of construction, and we're going to see if we can link up that way. So it looks like I want to be a bit to the left over here. Yeah, so here we are. We shouldn't be too dissimilar on height now. We're pretty much bang on, so it's actually going to be a bit of a descent into the camp. That's preferable. There we go. It's a little bit of a roller coaster track, but it'll do for now. We're going to obviously have to clear the trees out, but now we have a finished line. So we're going to head back to where Betsy is. And I'll demolish this telegraph office. I don't like to use them too much. And we're going to take the brake off on Betsy. Get her moving again. Just double check the fire. Yeah, I filled it back up before I set off, so it shouldn't have been too bad. And already, I've noticed I've made a mistake. We are heading down towards the unfinished sawmill line, which is not going to do us a great amount of good. There we go, just let this roll back, and hello, there we go. So now we've switched that, we're going to head back down towards the logging camp, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to set Betsy, that'll probably do, right, and I'm going to just run ahead of the train and clear aside all the logs. Betsy might slow down a little bit because we are on up to a 2% grade here. I'm trying not to use anything more than 2% because after that it just becomes a chore to get some of the bigger, like heavier carriages up there. But for just Betsy with these 4 little wagons we should be alright. But 2% across the network should mean that we're never going to run into a slope we can't climb with our appropriate engine. We're going to try and find an engine that fits the job well for every route we have. Just, you know, a bit of variety rather than just having to run the same train absolutely everywhere. Sorry, the same engine. And like I said before, train is technically the loads you're carrying. So we're just going to trim these trees and I'll catch up with you guys when we get to our funky bridge section. Just pop the brake on real quick. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh no, we're okay, we just need to back up. This wasn't quite as bad as I was expecting. So, a little bit of context to this series, while we're just clearing these trees out of the way here. I am currently at work, so I work night shifts, but due to what my job is and how I have to perform that duty. It's very low intensity on a night, hence I'm able to sit here and record Railroads Online. I'm not neglecting my work, I just don't have any to do. So that's how I'm going to be recording this series going forward for the most part. I bring my PC to work with me when I'm on nights. I'm on nights for 2 to 4 weeks at a time, so I'm going to try and bulk record a couple of episodes, enough to fill out a 1 episode a week sort of rotation. Obviously, we'll see how that goes. I have a bit of a track record for not delivering on those promises. But we're going to try and stick to 1 a week for now. If I've got time, I'm going to try and record a bit more Factorio. We're going to have to start the series again, unfortunately, because we lost the world during the transition from Windows 10 to 11. It didn't save for some reason, and Steam saves are terrible. So I'm going to go quickly grab Betsy. But that's the plan with this series, hopefully about 1 episode a week, and we'll just keep playing until we've done everything, really. I haven't actually finished a playthrough of this myself yet, because, as I mentioned earlier on, I kind of tend to go a bit too big and too flashy in one go, and that leads to me just burning out of the game. So hopefully by keeping things small, manageable, and very much designed with one person in mind, you know, we should be able to keep this going until we've connected all the industries, maybe got all the engines. You know, we'll set ourselves some sort of goal as we get a little bit further in. Once we've named the railroad. But this episode that I'm recording right now, I'm going to attempt to edit before I finish my shift tonight, so I've got 4 more hours. I'm going to attempt to record this, edit it, and at least set it off rendering, so that when I come back into work in a few days' time, I can upload it, and at that point you guys can tell me what you think we should call the railroad. I'm going to try and come up with some ideas, and if anybody comes up with anything better, then we'll change the name of the railroad, and any engines and rolling stock that we end up purchasing with the old name will just be like bought or loaned from a different railway. That will be our canon. So we're going to try and keep these trees out of the way. I think Betsy has hit too much of a ramp again, because she's perfectly stopped. So we bought a few cars, so we're down to $1,100 left in the bank account, and I think Betsy might be... no, I just left her there. So we're down to $1,100 in the bank account, and I think it might be time to make a little bit of money. So I've cleared all the way up to the logging camp. There's no trees on the track now, which is what you want, to be honest. So we're going to jump in Betsy here, and I'm going to show you guys how we load the train and how we make some dollar, because Betsy's a great little train. but she'll only be a great little train for so long until we need an even greater, slightly bigger train. So as we cross the little bridge here, you can see in the background the nice newly completed track, and we're going to slow down for this bit because it is downhill as well, so I don't want to go too overboard, because it's been a hot minute since I played this game last, so I can't remember what the speed limits are like for certain engines, especially some of the original engines that were in the game at launch, which Betsy is obviously included in that list. So I think, are we rising up a little bit there? I don't think so. So we should be all right as long as we take that corner slowly, and without too many cars on the train. I'll quickly grab this tree here if I can. Can we grab it? There we go. So sometimes it is a little bit funny when you're logging, and I don't mean funny in like the haha sense, like a bit bizarre, the way it works, in that you're not quite sure if you've taken a tree out of the ground because it hasn't played a sound effect or done a little animation or anything, but then it flies away into a completely different dimension, and you're like, yeah, you know what? I think I've chopped that tree. So here we are, pulling into the logging camp. Give it a whistle so they know we're here. And this is our loading platform. So what we'll do is we'll load back to front, because that should just be a little bit easier. And I think I've overshot. Yep, completely overshot. But that at least tells me that for now, I've got enough room. Can we push through those two brakes? Okay, enough to get us back to where we need to be. Just take this one off for now. There we go, pop that back on, and then turn off the engine. And now all we need to do is click on these two cranes, and that will begin loading our logs. So originally we had to click the crane every single time we wanted to load a log, but thankfully a couple of updates ago they added it so that it will now automatically keep on loading for us, which is so much nicer. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, and as soon as, in fact we can take these off now because we're on the level. As soon as we're loaded, I'm going to back up and load the other two cars. So we're just about done loading here, and something you probably want to keep an eye out as a new player especially is your firebox, because once this dies down you won't immediately notice that you've run out of fire in this engine there for you. So when you go into the engine you can see it a little bit better. In fact, we'll just start off reversing now. I think all the brakes should be off. Except that one. So you'll see here we've got boiler pressure, which is how much steam is inside the boiler. We've got water temperature, so as long as that's over 100 we'll continuously generate boiler pressure. And then you've got fire temperature, and that influences how hot the water is. So the fire temperature will slowly drop, dropping your water temperature, so you can still have a full boiler of steam, it won't dissipate, but you'll realise very quickly I am running out of pulling power on my train, and then you'll look into this and you'll realise fuel says 0 because you haven't filled up your firebox. Betsy has quite a small firebox. Some of the other trains, I don't think any other train has a firebox as small as Betsy's. So it's not as much of an issue as you get later on, because 9 times out of 10 you can fire up before you start. Some of them also carry more boiler pressure anyway than Betsy, so you've kind of got a bit more of a buffer zone. But you'll want to make sure you keep on top of that, because it's gonna really impact you and your ability to pull longer trains. The less you have. I'm gonna jump on this front one here. I want to see how we take this corner. So I want to make sure we're not coming off the line here at all. So you can hear Betsy's chuffing getting faster and faster there. That means we're starting to pick up speed. Which means we need to turn down the regulator massively. Because now we're going downhill. Or at least we will be in a second. In fact, we should be going downhill now. So we should just be able to turn this off. And just let gravity do all the hard work for us. Now I don't think that stops your fuel from burning at all. I think it still burns at the same rate regardless of what you're doing. But it will stop your boiler pressure from going down pointlessly. Especially if you've run out of fuel. Coasting is good. If you've got no fuel left in the engine, you need to get to a refueling point. Slap it in neutral, let gravity do the work where you can. And then save that boiler pressure for the hills. Or the flat spots on your network. So we're going to put a bit of brake on here because I don't quite like how fast we're going. Especially backwards. Something about this just sets me uneasy. But we're at the bottom of the hill now, I think. So it might be time to pop the regulator back on. Get us going at nice speed again. I don't mind doing it when we're on the flat ground. It's just going downhill, round corners, backwards. No, that doesn't work for me. So I'll catch you guys when we get back to the freight depot. So we're back here at the freight depot. We're going to flick this switch and we're going to let Betsy roll on in to the selling platform. And it's as easy as standing on one side of the train and pressing the enter key to unload. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head to Betsy. I'm going to turn down her regulator completely. And we're going to ride the first car in. Just shot quite a bit of brake on. Because I realise now that I didn't finish this platform. Probably going to need a bit more than that. Maybe that as well. Oh, we're going to go over the edge. We're going to go over the edge. Oh, I think we're going to go over the edge. We didn't go over the edge. Fantastic. So we are actually completely in the platform. So all we have to do is run along and go enter. Enter. Enter and enter. And you'll see. There it is. The money is piling in. Cha-ching. We have made $240. Why is the train still moving? Because the regulator is on 100. So sometimes when you're driving this from outside of the train, you try and push the regulator to 0 and it will just bounce back to whatever it was on previously without you realizing. So you could still be full pelting your train off the end of a buffer stop if you don't notice that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bumper on the end of here just for the sake of if I do fly off the end. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been MetalGearBox. You have been fantastic. Please do not forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you want to see the rest of this series. I've also done videos on Factorio and a few other daft ones, but they're not really anything worth watching. But hopefully in the future going forward, we're going to be putting out a lot more content on this channel and maybe recording with a few different people. So that's pretty exciting. Keep an eye out for that. Like this video if you did like it, and I will see you guys in the next episode. I feel like we need to end with Betsy's whistle. Catch you later, guys.